I've seen highways eat men alive, but nothing ever rattled me like that whiteout on County 47. Wind howling like it wanted my rig off the road, snow swallowing every mile of visibility. Then I spotted her car, half buried in a drift, hazard lights blinking like a dying heartbeat. When I tore that door open, she latched onto me with frozen hands and whispered, "Don't let me die. He'll find me." I didn't know who he was, but I knew real fear when I saw it. I hauled her through the storm, kept her breathing, and by sunrise she'd vanished from the clinic without a trace. 3 weeks later, I walked into dispatch, and she was there, alive, calm, staring straight at me. "I know what your family did," she said, and then she told me something I wish to hell I'd never heard. If you're riding with me on this one, go on and hit that subscribe and like buttons. I've got miles of truth ahead, and trust me, you're going to want to hear where this road leads. Most folks don't understand what a blizzard feels like from behind the wheel of a 40-ton rig. It ain't just cold. It's a living thing, pushing, twisting, trying to shove you right off the map. That night on County 47, the wind was hitting the side of my trailer like it owed it money. Snow wasn't falling. It was flying sideways in sheets, thick enough my headlights just bounced back in my face. But I kept crawling forward, slow and steady, hands locked on the wheel. I was hauling medical supplies, and a storm wasn't going to stop me from getting them where they needed to go. Then I saw the flash, a dim, sickly blink way off the shoulder, hazard lights, except they weren't blinking right, too slow, like the battery was dying. I eased the rig over, tires fighting the ice, and the moment I stepped out, the cold hit me like a sledgehammer. My breath froze in my beard before I even reached the car. It was buried up to the windows. A dark sedan, nose first in a drift, engine dead. I wiped a sleeve across the glass, and that's when I saw her. A woman, mid-20s maybe, hair stuck to her forehead with ice, pounding weakly on the inside. Her lips were blue, her eyes. Those eyes were wide with a terror I recognized instantly. I've seen animals pinned under wreckage look calmer. I yanked the door till the ice cracked loose. She tried to speak, but it came out like a hiss. "Don't! Let me die! He'll find me!" Her fingers dug into my coat like hooks. I didn't ask questions. Not then. I just wrapped her up, carried her through that blinding snow, and got her into my cab with the heat blasting full. She shivered so hard the whole seat was trembling. "Who's after you?" I asked, but she just shook her head and stared at the storm outside like it was less dangerous than whatever she'd run from. I got her to the clinic in town. The nurse took one look and rushed her inside, didn't even bother asking for insurance or ID. I waited an hour, then 2, then 3. Finally, the nurse came out with paperwork. "Your friend checked herself out," she said. "Already?" She could hardly stand. "Sir, she walked out 10 minutes after you arrived. I checked every hallway, every exit. She was gone. No footprints, no car, no name. Just gone. I figured that was the end of it. Just another strange night on the road." But 3 weeks later I pushed open the dispatch office door and nearly forgot how to breathe, because she was there, standing, warm, dry, calm, and looking right at me. "I know what your family did," she said softly. And the next thing she told me made the floor feel like it dropped out from under my boots. I swear the room got smaller the moment she spoke. Dispatch is usually full of noise, phones ringing, printers spitting paper, drivers complaining about their routes. But right then, everything went quiet, except the thump of my own heartbeat. She stood there like she'd been waiting for me, eyes calm, steady, too steady for someone I'd seen half-frozen and terrified less than a month ago. I didn't move at first, just stared at her like I was trying to place a face I should have recognized. But there was nothing familiar except the fear I remembered from that night, and that wasn't in her eyes anymore. Whatever scared her back in that blizzard, she wasn't scared of it now. "What do you mean, what my family did?" I finally managed. She tilted her head a little, like she was trying to decide how much to reveal. "I shouldn't talk here," she said. "Can we step outside?" Normally I wouldn't wander anywhere alone with someone who'd dropped a bomb like that, but the way she said it, calm, patient, certain, It felt like she already knew I'd agree. We walked out the side door into the gravel lot. Light rain had started, the kind that smells like wet asphalt and old secrets. She stood under the overhang, hands folded like she was gathering her thoughts. "You never told me your name," she said. "No," I answered. "Didn't get the chance." "Duh, well, I know it anyway." She said it, my full name, slow and clear. Hearing it hit me like a sucker punch, because I don't go by my birth name, haven't in years. It's not on my license, not on my paperwork, not on any of my records. Hell, most folks I work with don't know it. My throat tightened. "Who told you that?" "No one," she said. "I knew it when you opened that car door. I recognized your face. You look like your father." My stomach dropped straight through the floor. "Lady, I don't know who you think—" She held up a hand. "Your father was James Rowden, truck driver, route supervisor, died 22 years ago in a rollover outside Mays Creek." I staggered back a step, because she was right, down to the last detail. I hadn't heard anyone speak his name aloud since the funeral. I sure as hell hadn't told her. Nobody at dispatch knew it. Nobody on the road knew it. It was a ghost I'd left buried years ago. "Why do you know about my dad?" I asked, my voice smaller than I wanted. She took a slow breath. "Because I wasn't running from a stranger that night. I was running from someone tied to what happened to him." I felt every muscle in my body stiffen. "My dad died in an accident. That's the story they gave your family," she said softly. "But it wasn't an accident, and someone didn't want you growing up asking questions." The rain tapped harder on the metal roof above us. I suddenly felt like the whole sky was leaning down to listen. "You're gonna have to explain," I said. "I will," she answered. "But first, I need you to understand something." Her voice cracked just a little. "I didn't end up on that highway by chance. I was followed there, and after you brought me into town, he found me again." A chill crawled up my spine. "Who is he?" She glanced over my shoulder at the road, like she expected someone to be standing there wearing headlights. "I don't know his real name," she said, "but I know what he does, and I know he worked with your father right before he died." My breath turned cold. "And last night," she continued, "he called me. He said there's something of your father's he wants. Something you have, even if you don't know it." That made my pulse skip. "I don't have anything." She shook her head. "You do. It's hidden, and he thinks you're the only one who can find it. I don't understand." "You will," she whispered. "But you need to hear the rest somewhere safe, somewhere he won't follow." I looked around the lot, suddenly sure eyes were watching from the dark corners. "Then where do we go?" She walked closer, lowering her voice till it was barely a breath. "Your father left a message before he died. I know where it is." My skin prickled. "Where?" She opened her mouth, then snapped it shut as headlights swept across the lot. A car rolled slow past the main road, windows tinted, engine humming low and mean. She grabbed my arm, nails digging in. "That's him," she whispered. "We need to move, now." And right then, the car turned into the lot. The moment that car turned into the lot, everything inside me tightened like a winch cable pulling too hard. It wasn't speeding, wasn't revving, wasn't doing anything dramatic. Just rolling slow, steady, deliberate. The kind of slow that tells you the driver ain't looking for a parking spot. He's looking for someone. She pulled closer to me, barely breathing, eyes locked on the dark shape moving behind that tinted windshield. "Don't look directly," she whispered. "He'll know we saw him." That didn't sit right with me. Hell, it went against every instinct I had. But the way she said it made my stomach twist. She wasn't dealing with some jealous boyfriend or angry co-worker. The fear in her voice was the kind people carry when they've lived looking over their shoulder. The car cruised past us, slow enough I could hear the engine ticking. The windows were tinted, a shade darker than legal. Couldn't see a face, couldn't see hands on the wheel, but I felt eyes, locking on me, like they already knew who I was. I forced my shoulders to stay loose, tried to look like a guy chatting with the dispatcher. But inside, I was ready to grab her and bolt. "He knows your rig," she whispered. "He saw you that night." "How?" I asked, barely moving my lips. Because he followed me to the highway, and when I got stuck, he kept coming. You intercepted him. My pulse hammered so loud I swore she could hear it. If he wanted to hurt you, then he didn't expect you, she whispered. And he doesn't hurt people in public. He's careful. The car came to a stop at the far end of the lot. Engine idling, headlights off. Too still, too quiet. And that's when something clicked in my brain. Something old. A memory I hadn't touched in decades. A dark car idling outside my childhood home the week before my dad died. Same quiet hum, same tinted windows, same low, patient presence. I swallowed hard. You need to tell me everything, now. She shook her head. If he sees us talk too long, he'll know I already told you something. We need to move. Where? Your truck, she said. It's the only place he won't risk getting close. Not yet. I nodded toward the far row where my rig sat under a flickering security light. Let's go. We walked casual-like, or tried to, but every step felt like walking across a stage with a spotlight on my back. I didn't dare look behind me. She didn't either, but I felt the car's headlights tilt, just a hair, like they were tracking us. When we reached the truck, I popped the passenger door open and boosted her up. She slid into the seat, eyes darting to the side mirror. I climbed into the driver's seat and shut the door quick, lock clicking like a gun cocking. The car hadn't moved. Idling. Waiting. I fired up the rig. The hum of the engine gave me something familiar to hold on to, something real, something mine. She leaned in close. There's a storage locker, outside Maze Creek. Your father rented it 6 months before he died. My chest tightened. That's impossible. Dad never said he couldn't, she cut in. There were people watching him, people who needed him quiet. I gripped the wheel hard. And this guy in the car? He was one of them. The weight of that slammed into me like a load shift. Why does he care now? Because whatever your father hid, it didn't stay hidden. Her voice dropped to a tremble. And someone told him you're the only one who knows the truth. That's insane, I muttered. I was a kid. Exactly, she said. Kids notice things adults try to ignore. I stared straight ahead, breath fogging the cold glass. Memories tugged at my brain. Things I'd never bothered to make sense of. Dad coming home late with grease on his hands he couldn't wash off. Mom whispering about those men when she thought I was asleep. A cardboard box Dad had locked in the garage, only to disappear a week before the accident. Whatever your father found, she continued, he paid for it with his life. And the man in that car, he thinks you're the last loose end. I felt a cold rage simmer under my ribs. I didn't know what my father had done or what they'd done to him. But I knew one thing for damn sure. Nobody was hurting this woman again, and nobody was coming for me without a fight. I put the rig in gear. Where's the locker? Route 8, near the old grain elevators. All right, I said, we're going now. No. Her hand shot out and grabbed my arm hard. We can't. Why the hell not? She pointed past me toward the mirror. The car had pulled out of its spot, not toward the exit, not toward the road. It was rolling slow, lining up behind my trailer. He's blocking us in, she whispered. The sight of that dark car easing into position behind my trailer made my gut twist like a wrench. He wasn't trying to hide anymore. He wanted us to know he was there, wanted us boxed in, stuck between the loading docks and the chain-link fence like cornered livestock. I kept my hands steady on the wheel, even though my pulse was going a mile a minute. He really gonna sit there all night? I muttered. He doesn't need all night, she said quietly. Just long enough to scare us into making a mistake. Lady, I don't scare easy. Not you, she whispered. Me. Her voice had that same tremble I heard in the snowstorm. Not loud, not dramatic, just the kind that comes after living with fear, longer than most folks live with their own shadow. But she didn't curl up or look away. She kept her eyes locked on the mirror, focused, calculating. All right, I said. Tell me what he's after. Start with that. She took a slow breath. Your father was a supervisor on the Riverbend logistics contract, right? That was one of his routes, I said. But he didn't talk about it much. He didn't because it was dirty. Freight pilfering, insurance skims, falsified inspections. Small stuff at first. Then it turned into something bigger. Something federal. What? Drugs? Weapons? She hesitated. That hesitation told me enough. It wasn't small time. He found out about a shipment that wasn't on the books, she said. A shipment he wasn't supposed to see. When he asked questions, they tried to make him part of it. He refused. I stared at her. And that cost him his life. It cost him more than that, she said. He didn't trust the company, didn't trust law enforcement. He only trusted one thing: paper trails. He documented everything, every shipment, every plate number, every driver involved, everything he suspected. The memory hit me. Dad at the kitchen table late at night, scribbling in a small black notebook he'd snap shut whenever I came near. I thought it was work stress. You're telling me he kept evidence? Yes, she said, in a place no one knew about except him, and maybe someone he confided in. And the locker? I asked. It's the only place they never searched. Lightning crawled through my ribs. Then why wait 20 years? Because the man following us didn't know the evidence still existed until recently. I narrowed my eyes. What changed? She swallowed, her throat moving slow. I was hired to audit Riverbend Logistics 2 months ago. So you dug it up? I didn't mean to, she said quickly. I found a discrepancy in a 20-year-old manifest and pulled archived records. By the time I realized what I was looking at, someone else had realized it too. The car behind us flicked its headlights once. Not enough to brighten the cab, just enough to let us know he hadn't moved, still waiting, still watching. Why'd he go after you? I asked. Because I accessed the files, she said. And because my access triggered an alert that was never supposed to exist. Someone in the company wiped the records as soon as I opened them, but not before I saw your father's name. So he thinks you know where the evidence is. He knows I don't, she said, but he knows you might, and that scares him. I rubbed my jaw. You said he called you. He did, and he wasn't even angry. He just said, you shouldn't have gone looking for ghosts. Then he told me if I talked to anyone, he'd finish what he started with your father. A heavy silence settled between us. The kind you don't break, because you know the truth inside it is bigger than either of you can handle in one breath. All right, I said finally. If he wants us stuck here, then we do the opposite. He's watching the cab, so we leave the cab. Leave? Where? There's a foot gate at the back fence, I said. Maintenance uses it. If we cut across the lot, he can't follow in a car. She hesitated. He'll know we left. He'll know he's not controlling the situation anymore, I said, popping the door latch quietly. That's better than sitting here waiting to be cornered. She nodded slowly. Okay. We moved fast but quiet, slipping out opposite sides of the truck. Cold air hit my face, sharp enough to bite. The car didn't move, but I could feel the driver's eyes tracking the space between the trailers. We kept low, cut across the gravel, the sound crunching under our boots like breaking bones. Halfway to the fence, I heard it, the soft thump of a door opening. Her eyes widened. He's getting out. Don't run, I whispered. Just keep walking. We reached the back fence, breath fogging in the dim light. She grabbed the gate and pushed. It didn't budge. I tried it too. Locked. Rusted solid. Behind us, footsteps crunched the gravel. Slow, steady, approaching. She looked at me, her face drained of color. What do we do now? I turned toward the footsteps and saw a shadow detach itself from the car. The man stepped into the light, and I recognized his face. I hadn't seen that face in over 20 years, but the second he stepped into the weak yellow glow of the maintenance light, my lungs locked up. The square jaw, the tight lips, the same cold stare I remembered hovering over my father's casket, like he was making sure the lid stayed shut. Back then, I didn't understand why a man who claimed to be just a co-worker kept showing up around our house in the weeks before Dad died, always watching, always lingering. But now, seeing him step toward us with that same unreadable look, my body remembered before my mind did. He was danger then. He was danger now, and the worst part, he was older, but not by much. He had the kind of face that didn't age, the kind built for bad decisions done clean and quiet. "You shouldn't be here," he said. His voice was low, smooth and wrong, in a way only people used to lying can manage. "Either of you." The woman beside me went rigid. "Stay behind me," I whispered, barely moving my lips. "No," she breathed. "If he wanted you dead, you'd already be dead." Hell of a comfort. He stopped about 10 feet from us, hands in the pockets of a dark coat that looked like it cost more than my monthly rig payments. Rain pattered off his shoulders, but he didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't even shift his weight, just waited. "Didn't think you'd recognize me," he said to me. "I didn't," I lied. He smiled, but not the friendly kind, the kind a wolf gives a trapped animal. "You're just like him," he said, "stubborn, loyal, always in the wrong place at the wrong time." I stepped forward once, putting myself between him and her. "Whatever you did to my father," he raised a hand lightly, cutting me off. "Your father did it to himself, I never touched him." That hit me like a slap. "You expect me to believe that?" "I don't expect anything from you," he said calmly. "But your father, he wasn't the man you think he was." She stepped out from behind me, voice sharp. "Don't listen. He's trying to—" "Quiet," he said without looking at her. And damn if she didn't flinch like that single word carried weight she couldn't fight. My blood boiled. "You don't talk to her like that." He looked back at me, expression still carved from stone. "You're protecting the wrong person, kid. I ain't a kid. You were when this started." The rain grew heavier, slicking the gravel at our feet, making every sound louder, sharper. "What do you want?" I growled. "Something your father left behind." He glanced at her, and she stole from me. "I didn't steal anything," she shot back. "I exposed it." "You exposed nothing," he said. "You opened a file. You didn't understand what was in it, and now you're playing whistleblower with information you don't even have." She stepped forward. "I know you killed him." My stomach dropped. That was the first time either of us had said it aloud. His response? He laughed, soft, genuine, like she'd told the funniest joke he'd heard all year. "You think I killed James Roden?" he said. "Lady, if I wanted him dead, he'd never have lived long enough to file his little notes." I clenched my fists. "Enough games. Tell me what you want." He stared straight into me. "Your father hid a key." "A key to what?" "To something that would ruin people who pay me a lot of money to keep their lives tidy." She glared. "And you think he passed it to his son?" "He didn't," the man said, "but he might have told his son where he put it." "I don't know anything," I said. He nodded slowly. "Maybe you don't think you do. Memory's a funny thing, especially childhood memory. Your father talked to you a lot before he died, drove you around, took you places." I swallowed hard. "Because, yeah, he did. More those last few months than ever before." The man took one step closer. "You remember things you don't realize you remember, and I need what he hid." "And if I say no," I asked, "then I keep coming," he said simply, "and I don't stop." Lightning split the sky behind him, throwing his shadow long across the pavement. He didn't look back at it. He didn't move. He just stared at me, waiting for an answer he thought he already owned. "You don't scare me," I said. He smirked. "Your father said the same thing." My jaw clenched. "And now he's gone," the man added. She grabbed my arm, urgent. "We have to go, now." "And where would you go?" the man asked, tilting his head. "Every mile of road out of here leads somewhere I can follow." "Not everywhere," she said. That made him pause, just for a second. But enough. "There's only one place he can't follow us," she whispered to me. "Where?" I asked. She took a shaky breath. "Maze Creek." The man's expression cracked, just for a blink, like she'd said a word he didn't expect to hear ever again. "Maze Creek is off limits," he snapped. "No," she said. "It's where this ends. Maze Creek ain't a place people go by accident. It's a stretch of forgotten highway. A ghost of a town where the trees grow too close to the road and the wind sounds like memories trying to claw their way back into your skull. I hadn't driven there since I was 11, since the week before my father died. But the moment we pulled off the main interstate and onto that cracked two-lane, something deep in my bones tightened like it remembered the road better than I did. She sat beside me, arms folded tight, stare locked ahead. "He won't follow us here," she whispered. "Why not?" "Because this is the one place he can't control." That didn't comfort me. If anything, it made the air feel heavier. As the truck rumbled deeper into the trees, I caught myself glancing in the mirrors every few minutes. He wasn't there, no headlights, no engine, no shadow stalking our lane. But I still felt him, like the darkness behind us had taken his shape. We reached the old grain elevators an hour later, half-collapsed metal giants leaning like tired skeletons against the moonlight. And there, tucked between them like a secret someone hoped would never be discovered, was the storage compound. Rusted fence, floodlight flickering, rows of metal units lined up like coffins. My father had come here. I could feel it. And if he'd left something behind, it was going to be in one of these. She pointed to Unit 14. "That's the number listed in the archived lease." I killed the engine. The silence that followed was thick and unmoving. You could hear every detail, the soft whistle of wind through broken siding, the distant pop of old metal cooling, the soft rasp of her breath next to mine. We climbed down from the rig. Gravel crunched loud under our boots, echoing across the empty lot. I half expected that dark car to sweep around the corner any second, but the night stayed still. I reached for the padlock on Unit 14. Brand new, too new. Someone had been here long after Dad died. "You sure this is it?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "but someone else found it first." Cold crawled up my spine. I grabbed the lock, tested it, solid steel, heavy, industrial, not something you pop with a bolt cutter, but someone had scratched the surface near the latch. Fresh marks, shallow but desperate, like a man in a hurry or in a panic. I crouched low, flicked my flashlight under the door, dust on both sides, except a clean streak running inward. Somebody had opened this recently. "Step back," I said. She did, confusion tightening her face. I grabbed the edge of the metal sheet near the bottom, braced myself, and shoved upward with everything I had. The door screeched like it was in pain, but it moved, not all the way, but enough to slip under. Inside was dark, colder than the night air, and empty, completely empty. No boxes. No crates, no notebooks, no evidence, just concrete and dust. Her shoulders sagged. "No, no, this isn't right. It has to be here." I stepped inside, scanning the walls. That's when I noticed it. A small discoloration on the far corner where the concrete looked too clean. I knelt, ran my hand over it. The texture was different, smooth, sealed. "Driver?" she whispered. "What is it?" "A false wall," I said. I wedged my fingers into the seam and pulled. The panel popped free with a sharp crack. Behind it was a small cavity, barely the size of a shoebox. Inside, wrapped in wax paper yellowed with age, was a metal key attached to a plastic tag. The tag had 2 words: Roden House, my childhood home. My hands went numb. He hid something in the house. Not here. She stared at the key like it was radioactive. Then he must have been interrupted. This unit, this was a decoy. A trail to mislead whoever was watching. And then she froze. "Driver. That means he knew they were after him. He knew they'd follow his records. He used this place to buy himself time." I felt the truth slam into me, heavy, final. My father hadn't died in an accident. He'd died running out of time. "We have to go to your old house," she said urgently. "Whatever he hid, it's still there." I nodded, and then a sound outside, gravel shifting, slow, deliberate. She grabbed my arm. "He found us." I turned toward the open door. A shadow stretched across the gravel. Not from our truck. Not from the elevator, from a car, dark, still, engine off. He was here. "Back," I whispered. "Stay behind the wall." She ducked into the corner. I stepped forward, fists tight, breath low, heart hammering like a freight engine. The footsteps drew closer. Closer, closer. And then a familiar voice cut through the dark. "You should have stayed away from Maze Creek. If you've been riding along this whole way, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's more road ahead, more truths buried in the dark, and more stories that'll keep you gripping the wheel long after the engine cools. Stick with me, the next haul's already loading.